Welcome back to Dot Life, Dorchester's only hyper-local podcast with news, commentary, and analysis. We have a great episode today. Tom O'Brien and the Reverend Jeffrey Brown are here to talk about the Kearney Hospital site and what's going on over there. I'll let them talk more about that. But before we get into the Kearney, we don't have Bill today. No Bill. We've got the next best thing, Seth Daniel.
I'm number 2.
You're number 2 to no one, Seth.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you.
Good to be here.
How are you feeling?
I've been struggling with my health, so I'm just kind of up and down, getting through each day as it comes.
So if you've got a little raspiness, people will know you're...
Yes, I'm channeling Barry White. Barry White.
Oh, love that.
I can't normally do that.
You kind of want to keep this respiratory problem.
There's something to it, yeah.
You can cut an album.
Right.
How do you like my shirt?
I don't.
Well, it's Thursday night, and guess what that means?
That means that it's spaghetti, I think, and meatballs.
We have the Texans tonight. We just came off a big win against the
It was
Bucs.
A big win. I watched it.
It's fun. It was exciting. Josh Allen got AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
He did?
Well, he probably deserved it.
He did.
They can't give it to Drake May every week.
Oh, my gosh. Heinous. Who do you guys have on Sunday? Are you playing Sunday or Thanksgiving? You're not on Thanksgiving.
No. It is a Sunday game, and I'm blanking on our opponent.
Bengals.
Yeah, that's right, because they got Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's going to play.
His first game back?
Yeah, supposedly he's going to play, and he's got had the toe thing. They all have a toe injury. What's with the toes?
Man.
I mean, you're out there hitting each other you're hitting each other in the head, and it's the toe that gets hurt. Why is that?
It's their Achilles toe.
Yeah.
We play the Bengals later in the year, and it just got moved today from 4:30 to 1. So I guess the league has decided the Bengals are not drawing primetime audiences.
I like 1 o'clock games. I don't like 4:30 games, especially this time of year, because it's 4:30 and it's dark, and it's like, man, this stinks.
Oh, see, I like that better because I want to be outside in the daylight.
Yeah.
The 1 o'clock game makes me feel like I've wasted
my whole
day.
That's true, but I do. What I often do is just put the radio on and listen to it while I'm outside.
Oh, nice.
Not watch the game.
Yeah, but you want to watch the game.
If it gets down to the wire and close, I'm going to go back into the TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say the TP?
The TV.
Oh, the TV.
Television.
It's like, is your
new thing they just
TV
came
in
out
a
with
TV? Oh, man. It's been a long week, Seth. You are relicless. You are not living up to your reputation of bringing in a relic.
I had one, and I've forgotten it.
Okay.
Yes.
You want to give us a taste of what it would have been? Or just...
Yeah, no, it's really kind of fascinating. It's very visual, so it's hard to describe. But and I'm going to bring it the next time, so I'll just give you a hint.
Okay.
It's from a lady. She used to be, she is the oldest. I think she still lives here. I don't know if she does.
Okay.
But she was the oldest Bostonian for quite some time. She got up to 106, but I think she moved to the Cape or something like that.
But she's still alive.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
She was in Charlestown the last I checked. She goes back, knew JFK before he was president or senator, and
Wow.
So one of the things that she did every day for decades was she would take a piece of charcoal that you draw with, and she had all these sheets of paper, probably 8 by 12, and she would just close her eyes and set a timer for 5 minutes and just draw with her eyes closed, and then give it to people.
Thanks.
And you might think, wow, that's a mess, but it wasn't a mess. There was some sort of communication in it. I don't know.
Do you think she was innately gifted at the closed-eye charcoal art, or was it?
Yeah.
Is this something any of us can do?
No, I couldn't
okay.
do it. No, I
Okay.
couldn't do it at all. So I'm judging on myself. No.
Okay.
But yeah, she had a knack for it, and all of them were different every day.
All right.
She had thousands of them.
Can't wait to see.
Because she's 106.
Oh my God. So Seth, you have several big stories in the Reporter this week, but one of them is about the schools closures in Dorchester. This is following on from several that closed last year. Now there's 4 new Dorchester ones in addition to some other ones throughout the city.
Right, through the city.
Which one's in Dorchester?
So one of the ones that's a beloved little school is the Lee Academy. It's not the Lee School, which is on Talbot. The Lee Academy used to be called the Fifield School. It's next to Dorchester High School,
Okay.
Tech Boston, the field there. And it's a pre-K through third grade.
Oh.
So it's a small little school. The building, if you've been inside, it is not nice.
Okay.
It's old, it's charming, but it's not very equipped.
Safe.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean,
Yeah.
there's electrical issues that can never be solved. They can't have air conditioning. The heat is, like a monster. What was there? There was a movie where
The heat miser?
Yeah, in the Christmas
Yeah, the heat
movie.
miser. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he called it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that.
Okay. So, why was it always a school, or what kind of building was it? It was always a
Yeah,
school.
it's always been a school.
Just
It was.
hasn't been
I
updated.
actually heard from one of my coworkers who remembers that it was like a trade school
Oh.
for women. Fifield was a female.
They didn't need any
Yeah.
electricity.
There was none then. It's all fire, sticks. So I don't know, but they had to close that, and it's not popular. That was a very popular school, but really just for the kindergarten grades.
Okay.
A lot of parents would send their kids to kindergarten. They have some great teachers. I have some friends who are kindergarten teachers there, and it was highly subscribed. But as you get, one of the problems is when a school ends in third grade, it puts you at a disadvantage because then you got to go look for another school for fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, the way it's set up. So people would fill the classrooms and the kindergarten classes, maybe in first grade, and then there's a big falling out or falling off because they need to go find a different school that goes through sixth grade.
And do a lot of the schools, I'm sorry, I don't have kids,
Yeah, no,
so
it's
I don't
fine.
know all the details, but do a lot of the schools start at second grade, and that's why they would fall off at second grade?
No, that's the problem. Most
Oh.
schools are pre-K through 6,
Okay.
and then 7 through 12.
But they liked the Lee Academy so much that they would send them there for kindergarten. And
Yeah,
then, okay.
yeah. And I mean, they were just kind of like, well, where are you sending your kids? The Lee Academy. And everybody just kind of did that. And then you find out, like, what are we going to do after third grade? Because, so there's that conundrum. And so the desire is to make all the schools kind of match up, pre-K to 6, 7 through 12. And that makes sense. You don't want to have to
Yeah.
jump all around the
Especially
place.
coupled with a falling down school or a not in good shape school.
Right,
Yeah.
and but it wasn't popular. There are a lot of parents who were pretty upset about the closure.
Yeah.
Maybe not informed.
When
the way they
when
would
is
want
it
to.
closing? This year?
So that closure is for the end of 2027. So you got 18 months.
All right.
So the rest of this year and then next year. Most people, if you know Boston, it's like, when there's a drop of water in the boat, everybody jumps in the raft.
So it'll be empty next year, is that what you're saying?
Well, there's always this mass like fear and rush for the exit. The
Yeah.
theater's on fire. No, it's not on fire. We don't need to escape. But yes, people will be looking for different places, and the kids
Yeah.
will have priority at other schools.
Oh, really?
Many parents have already been looking. They're already in that situation. They're kind of looking.
Yeah.
The other one that was really probably bigger news, and this is something someone could study for a doctoral thesis in education. We won't do that, but
Sorry,
so-
listeners, no doctoral thesis on this episode.
we don't want to put you to sleep, but it's the Henderson School. The Henderson School, we've talked about before, there's been some trouble there. There's been some violence, just kind of chaos in the last few years.
And Henderson is where? It's off Dot Ave?
There are 2 locations.
Oh.
So yeah, I know.
Not
This
confusing
is
at
what
all.
also makes it kind of unique and difficult for the district to coordinate. Is it's on 2 campuses, and so kindergarten. There's 3 kindergartens, by the way. 3 kindergartens and first grade are on Dot Ave in
Okay.
that building that used to be called the O'Hearn, the Patrick O'Hearn. Now it's the Henderson Lower Campus, right? And it goes to first. But then after first grade, they go to Croftland Avenue, which is further down by Gallivan Boulevard off of Washington Street.
Okay.
And it used to be called the Woodrow Wilson or the Woody.
Why do we rename all of our schools? I'm very confused.
I don't
How
know.
do parents navigate this?
They don't.
Angrily.
As you can see.
Angrily.
So it is called, the Henderson is a very popular man who's still alive. He was a principal, and he was really into what's called inclusion.
Okay.
And very early, it's now a common word in education. There's lots of gimmicks and code words in education and stuff like that, but he was into that way before.
Okay.
And what that really means is you were taking kids who were general education, kids who were in special education, and then kids who were like, had severe disabilities. Maybe they couldn't
Okay.
speak, and you put them all together in one classroom. And, there's supports, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a model. It was a really great model. In fact, it was a national model. People came from all over to see how it was working.
Mm-hmm.
It was working really well. Then they expanded to a high school, so grades 9 through 12. And when they did that, I don't know, there were always problems from the beginning, depending on who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up, it just, less people started going there. After 8th grade, people would find a different high school, and then they would have to fill the seats, and they maybe weren't always putting the right people there.
Okay.
Maybe there were, if you have a kid who's severely disabled and they're next to a kid that's got violent tendencies, it didn't work well.
Right.
And so they have decided to wind that school down. It's very controversial. It is actually, there are some people who you'll hear nothing good about it, and some people you hear everything good about it.
Okay.
And there's a lot of alumni, like younger, college students who went there, and they're very distraught by this. One already reached out to me this week and said that, I was already written off in kindergarten at a different school if I hadn't had the Henderson.
Wow.
And now is at a university here in Boston. So
Wow. That's a
it's going to be,
story.
that one, the story is not over on that. That one is going to have a lot of discussion before it closes.
It's not a final closure, or it is closing,
Well,
but we don't know
we
where.
haven't discussed this first. The school committee has to vote on December 17th.
This
for
is just
all
the
of
proposal.
This is the proposal. Now, how many times has the school committee gone against the proposal in their history of man? Very few times.
Yeah.
So yes, this is probably going to happen. But there's going to be a lot of discussion about this particular school.
Okay.
I think one of the others that was on there was the Lee Academy, CASH. So that's the Community Academy of Sciences.
What did that used to be called?
The Grover Cleveland.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, I was just kidding.
No. So it's in Fields Corner. You might have seen it. It's a massive building that is right across from the T station.
Yep.
Brick building, typical looking Boston school. And it had been the Grover Cleveland. It was a middle school, very popular. There were a lot of really great athletes that came out of there, including an Olympian medalist.
Yes, Grover Cleveland was a famous athlete.
Well, Grover Cleveland was an Olympian. No, he wasn't.
No, he was not.
But anyway, it got repurposed. The Arts Academy was there temporarily for a little while.
When they were redoing that gorgeous new
Yes.
building in Fenway. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And CASH, the Community Academy of Sciences and Health, was put in there. And CASH really never took off the way it was supposed to. There's about 300 students. Again, what ended up happening was a lot of people didn't choose it, so they would just
Okay.
be assigned there. What ended up happening with CASH is there were a lot of kids who were refugee, who were migrants or newcomers, and when they arrived in Boston, it's like, where do we go? Go to CASH. That actually produced a very talented soccer team. They're actually really good at soccer. Extremely good, in fact. But the high school was just one where, maybe they would go there one year and they're like, this isn't for us. And then they would leave. A lot of people leaving, a lot of turnover. And it just never, the sciences and the health aspect, I don't know if that ever really, I'm not inside the building. Maybe it was critical to the curriculum, but I don't think so.
Okay.
So what they're going to do, what they talked about doing, is there is another factor here. There's a school called BINCA, the Boston International Newcomers Academy, right? Same sort of thing. It's a lot of kids who are refugees, or when they come, and it's actually in Dorchester. It's in Maxwell Street.
Okay.
That's further over on the kind of the western side off of Washington. And they're talking about just combining those and putting them there.
At the Binka.
No,
At the CASH.
At the Cleveland, that is now the cache that will not be the cache, but will be something
It'll
else.
be the Bink Cache or the
Well,
cab.
they're expecting, Boston's an international city. There's a lot of kids who come in, multilingual learners is what they call them, and this will be kind of a complex for that, right?
Okay.
There's ideas that there's going to be a Cape Verdean Creole Academy in Boston Public Schools. Maybe it'll go there. Binka, maybe there'll be a Haitian Creole, maybe there'll be a Spanish only. There's some of that. So that's kind of where they're going to address language and things like that.
Okay. So are all of these timings end of next school year, or are they different based on the
All the
school?
ones we've talked about so far are. Now, there's
Okay.
one outlier, which is the Russell Elementary, and that's on Columbia Road.
Okay.
It's a smaller elementary, old brick building again, but they are not taking anything away. They're adding a sixth grade. If you
Okay.
remember, we talked about the Lee Academy. It's really critical to have kindergarten through 6.
Yeah.
And they only had kindergarten through 5. So
Okay.
if you were in that school, you had to find a school for your kid for 1 year, which is not good.
That's not good.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're adding, and that starts next year. So
Okay.
that's a very positive thing.
Assuming this all gets accepted, which
Assuming it gets
we
accepted.
think it will.
Yeah, and the need here, I think we've been through all the schools in Dorchester. There's a couple of others that are not here. But the need for this is, I think, misunderstood because people say, old buildings, boilers, what'd you call that heating system?
Heat miser.
Heat miser. A lot of people think of it like that, and there is something to that. I find that a majority of Boston's old school buildings were really designed by very intelligent people, and I think that they actually won some awards. And if you've been in some of them, you're like, wow, how did they think to do this in 1898?
Yeah.
A lot of the schools are designed in the same way as some of these schools, and I think they're well done. But the fact of the matter is, it's not about the buildings. Boston has too much personnel.
And not enough
And not
new
enough
students.
pupils.
Yeah, right. Pupils.
Were you called a pupil ever?
Yes. Didn't care for it.
I know. Nowadays they call them scholars. I hear that a lot, and I don't know where that comes from.
I like that better.
But
That makes me think older, though.
right.
Pupil is little.
Old school teachers, when I was in school, were like pupils. And I'm like, I always thought, what in the world? And then you get confused by your eye.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you
that's
said
the
in this
issue.
article, in the 24-25 school year, so that's last year, there are 112 schools.
Right.
By the end of this, if this goes through, there'll be 100, and they're trying to get to 95 by 2030.
Yeah. 95 is approximate. It could be down to 90.
Okay.
It all depends. And the factor here is what you just said, and that's pupils, that's students. How many are there? We are at an all-time low. I'm, kind of transitioning into a different story here.
Yeah.
But it's related. This year's student enrollment is an all-time low for Boston Public Schools.
We're low on pupils.
We are very low. We only have one eye. No, it's 46,000 and change. That's very, very low because, it was in 60,000s, 10 years ago I have in there. It's really, it needs to be more kids.
Yeah.
What has happened this year is that a lot of the newcomers who are really keeping the enrollment higher for the last few years have disappeared. More than 50% or around 50% didn't come back this year.
Massive.
It is.
Yeah.
So they lost about 1,700 students.
And what do they, is this because, there's, I think, several factors, right?
Yes.
The COVID lag.
That's part of it. Some
have
people
not been coming
moved.
back.
Some people moved out and they went to
If you
different
didn't have
parts
to
of the
work
country.
in Boston anymore,
Right.
you'd move away. And
Yeah.
that
Right.
happened a lot.
Yep.
I think also, do you think there's fear for immigrant families at the moment?
Yeah, I think
more?
there's two things there. I think there is some fear, so they're not coming out. But I think, quite frankly, I've heard this from some immigration folks, is that a lot of people left on their own. They're scared. They're like, we just got to get out of here.
You mean left America?
Yeah, self-deported.
Yeah.
But by and large, I think really what if somebody were to delve into it, I can't prove this. I think people have spread out. Boston is expensive. If you are just landing here as a refugee or a newcomer, and you're working slightly higher or minimum wage job, it's not working for you. We've had some stories in the paper about that, actually, and they're living in a hotel trying to find an apartment. There is nothing. There is nothing they can afford. Money is running out at the state to subsidize. So,
and now the cost of living is higher than it's ever been.
It's very high, and so I think maybe people in that situation fanned out to other places in Massachusetts or outside of New England.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Buffalo.
On the lake. The weather is certainly better there. I mean,
if you like snowmen.
So that is a factor.
And I think people are having fewer kids. That's also
a big
factor.
one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And I actually just read, there was a statistic that came out recently, and I just saw it last night, and that is the under 5 population in Metro Boston is the third, it lost the third most in the United States. So we're down 33% since 2005.
Wow.
Yeah. That's hundreds.
You went to BPS, right?
No.
No. Okay. Never mind.
My kids did, but I did not. No.
How many siblings do you have?
None.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're ruining my point.
Yeah. Well, let's say that I did.
Okay. Let's pretend.
Pretend. It's kindergarten.
We're gonna cut this. But I feel like there was a thing with like big Catholic families in Boston having like 6 kids,
Right.
And now they have 2.
Right. Well, one of the folks we're getting ready to talk about had 12.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. No. That is absolutely right. And there's actually just a lot of people who aren't having any kids. There's a lot of people who are here. They're single. A lot of people. I think it's not unique to Boston, but maybe their job has brought them here, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
And they're not going to ever use the public schools.
Right.
They might be here for 5 years. I have a cousin who's like 3 years in a different city all the time.
Yeah.
That's how his work is.
Yeah.
He's based out of the place he lives, but he's all over the place. And I think there's a lot more people like that.
And people get married later. They
Very.
don't have kids or have kids a lot later. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the trends are definitely changing. I don't think it's a bad thing that the BPS is trying to right size.
No, it's always going to be tough.
Yeah.
If you're in that community, that school community,
if your kid specifically is affected,
right?
Yeah.
It tears at you because you just can't like replicate it. Every time my kids went from one school to a different school, it just was never the same.
Yeah.
And that's tough because you get to know parents and there's a whole thing and people are, what do you call that? Spending the night or whatever, what slumber party? Is that what they called it that? I don't know.
At the school? What?
Not at the school.
I missed that part of
They actually do that at the school, believe it or not now. But no, I mean like socially, kids get to know each other and they're at each other's house. And,
right.
And then suddenly, the school closes and Johnny goes over here and Eric goes over here. And that is happening.
Yeah.
Actually, at the Dever, the one that's closing, there's a lot of kids that are, close friends. And some of them are in South Boston. Some are in Columbia Road. And they're not going to be at the same school anymore. So, that's where it gets tough.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the story that's about toughness is going to be all the teachers that lose their jobs. Now, the city and BPS says that's not going to happen. But, I mean, just do the math. If you look at all they've gone on a hiring spree in the last several years.
To address concerns about shortages of staff or because...
Because they had the money. COVID. They had the money. There's lots of specialists. A lot of the schools have 2 teachers per classroom. That was unheard of. When I came to Boston, I remember they had about 35 students to a classroom and 1 teacher. Now we're talking about 18 with 2 teachers in some classrooms.
Why do I hear so many bad things about BPS?
I don't know. It's just got a history that's just tough to overcome.
Yeah.
It really does. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dysfunction you'll find in the organization, but maybe not at your school.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that's better on the ground than maybe in the
zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Ether.
The ether. Yeah.
All right. Well, so what's the next step on this story? We wait for the board.
Yeah, we wait for that. But the other part is that in 18 months there's going to be more. There's going to be more elementary school closings.
Yeah.
It's just going to be kind of a pattern for the next several years. The other thing that was brought up that I think is interesting is that in this past election, which, and we're going to get to this, I think, there's a story coming up, education wasn't even an issue on the map. It's always been a top 5 issue, right? So if you're going to close some schools, people call, they get mad, politicians get a little weak in the knees.
They get pressured.
Yeah, they get pressured. Nobody cares in those numbers. So it's not a political issue anymore. It didn't even poll top 10.
That's shocking, actually. So you're a professional segueist.
Yes.
Because this was a great segue. Your next story in the paper this week was you got to sit down, I think it was an exclusive that you had with Frank Baker, right?
Yes.
First time he's spoken since the election.
Right.
Frank Baker, longtime Dorchester City Council person who
Right.
then left his seat, retired, then unretired, and said, I'm going to run for at-large.
Yes, so he went citywide. He was District 3, which is, the waterfront areas of Dorchester, so the eastern side. And
he didn't make it.
he didn't make it. Yeah, he did, and he came in quite a bit behind Henry Santana, who took the 4th and final spot.
15,000 votes.
Yeah, and that was a surprise for a lot of people. I think some people are like, why is that a surprise? But I think it is because he worked so hard. If you observe the campaign, he was everywhere. He was reaching out to people. He was at block parties. He was really just giving it his all. And he had a good team. And it didn't translate to votes. I mean, his quote was, hard work doesn't pay off.
Yeah, he seemed a little salty, I'm not going to lie.
He's always salty, though. I mean, it wouldn't be
brand,
Frank. Yeah, no, I mean, he's. I was just talking with somebody about, not Frank, but about Boston in general, and in the late '90s and before I came in the late '90s, and that's just how everybody was. I remember public meetings were like, I mean, everybody was the same. It was really like cantankerous and everything was a fight. And
it's a great word, by the way. Love that.
Yeah, I'm getting cantankerous every day.
So he said, he was salty about the hard work not paying off, but he kind of blamed the system. He said, well, a couple things. He said that his voters didn't turn out, which he was pretty mad about. Like, they didn't turn out for me because they may not have been a Wu supporter, so they just didn't come out at all, sounds like, right? And then the other thing was he thought the president and the federal politics loomed too large. Yeah,
I mean, that was a beyond Frank. That was just that was a thing with Josh Kraft, too. It was, when are we going to get to talking about the city? And we actually just never really did. Yeah. We could have talked about school closings. I don't remember it ever coming up, and here it is. So that is one thing. And Frank I really liked the interview because he had some great observations that I myself and others have been thinking about and observing. But he was out on the campaign trail. He wasn't the only candidate, but he could observe from a lens of being here his whole life and in politics his whole life in one way or another. And, really like knocking on a door, and you realize that, as he said, education wasn't an issue. Hardly ever came up.
Right.
Nobody was even talking about it.
Even the people who he went to their houses in the neighborhoods weren't thinking about education.
No, not really. Didn't come up.
See, when you said it didn't come up, I thought you meant like the politicians campaigning didn't prioritize it, but he didn't even hear it from constituents. That surprises me.
Yeah, it is surprising, but it reflects, like, if you have 46,000 people, or kids in the schools in a city of more than 700,000, it's a niche issue.
Right.
It used to be top 5.
I mean, it shouldn't be, because everyone should care about the efficacy of the schools.
But there's just this thing, it's like, and I think it also reflects, just a changing demographic in Boston, and that is,
Sinks. Single income, no kid.
Yeah, that is it too.
And dinks.
Right. What's dinks?
Dual income, no kids.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, you got a lot of terms here. I'm going to take that home with me.
Yeah,
that's good.
Sink and dink.
So yeah, but it is that. But it's also what we were talking about. Sort of people. They're here for a while, but they're not here forever. Yeah. What do you need in the city when you're in that situation? Not much.
Right.
And then the situations you were talking about, Frank made a good point, and it used to be, and it still is for some people, like if you wanted a door open, you had to find a politician on your side, right? You had to get somebody to speak for you. You needed a letter of recommendation if you were going to get that job in public works. You didn't just apply and on merit and have an interview.
The idea.
You had to find somebody who was going to get the job for you.
I'm so sorry that isn't the case anymore.
Right. And I think it does exist, but probably not on the scale that it did. And
Wait, he was making that as a point in his favor? Because that
No,
seems like
no,
a
no,
really
no.
bad thing.
But it's the way things worked here. So politicians, and I'm not talking about a negative thing.
Yeah.
If you needed to get a door open for you, and we all get doors open for us. In those days, it was through politics.
Okay.
As he mentions here, there's a different group of people here who maybe don't need that. If their kid needs to get a job, well, they don't need a politician to help them do that.
Yeah.
And that's a very good point, because it was a working class city. It's not now.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's true.
that was a very good observation, and I've thought a lot about that. There's some talk around the city about this topic, and one person I know calls it the third column. So it's not the people who've been here forever or who've been here for a long time. It's not people who are just here for a few years. It's this group of people that come in and they've settled down, but they really don't need much. And they don't know a whole lot about what's going on around them. They like the presidential election. They're not too into city politics.
Yeah.
They don't call the police. Their houses don't burn down, I hope. They don't use the public schools. If they have kids, they go to a private school.
They might not even use transit.
They don't use transit.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of city services they use. They put
Yeah.
their trash out, and that's really it.
But isn't it incumbent on someone like Frank with so much experience in politics to understand that group and speak to that and understand that the city has changed?
Well, I think we're all just discovering that.
Oh.
I think this election showed that.
Okay.
National politics was a issue in a city election. I don't ever remember that being the case.
Okay.
That's very new. Very new.
Yeah.
We have a personality in the White House that really sparks that. But at the same time, even so, we didn't even get around to talking about a lot of the issues that always come up.
So even when W was in office, it wasn't about Iraq or
No.
anything? No. It was
Never took over city politics.
Hmm.
No, not to that extent.
Okay.
Not to the extent where that's what we were voting for.
Okay. Interesting. He did make a comment that, people like in JP and in like Rosendale and stuff weren't voting for him because of city politics. And I lived in JP for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a national situation in which people are voting for Frank Baker
Right.
in JP. Like that's just not his constituency.
No.
And I was surprised he didn't know that.
Well, one of the things he did say, it didn't make it in the story, but he said he didn't follow one of his number one rules of politics that he's always adhered to, and that is go where you're most uncomfortable and just post up, take the heat, and just introduce yourself.
Okay. He
And
didn't do that.
He didn't. He wanted to, but you got to remember, he got into the race late.
Why?
Because he was working with Josh Kraft. He was all in with Josh Kraft.
Got it, okay.
And some other campaigns. He's retired from politics. He really didn't want to get back into it. And he did get into it, but it was later in the game. And Boston is a lot bigger than you think.
Yeah.
And it's hard to cover. If you've ever driven through like that mass of like Roslindale, West Roxbury, Hyde Park, where it all just kind of looks the same and
Yep.
mixes together.
Yep.
It's a lot of streets.
It is.
And a lot of voters. And that base of voters, maybe it wasn't as active, but they've really energized.
Yeah.
So the mayor has put together, some precincts over there that are rivaling some of the best ones that are over here.
Right.
Which is Florian Hall.
Yeah.
And that's new. That's different. Some of those precincts were dead, when I was around them in the 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd have just a trickle of voters, but now they're much, much more enlivened.
Yeah.
Different people, certainly. But, I think Frank wishes he had more time. That's what he told me. And he didn't. He went to the places where he needed to introduce himself to people he knew were going to support him, but didn't know him yet.
Okay.
So let's say East Boston.
Yeah.
Right? There were some people over there, didn't yet know him because he didn't run citywide.
But they're aligned politically.
They were aligned, and he had a better chance of really like capturing that vote.
Yeah.
and then going over to JP and taking the heat and trying to convince people I'm not the monster you've seen on TV.
But he was then annoyed that like the Florian Hall folks didn't turn out the numbers he needed to.
Yeah, well, I think Florian Hall did, but there were some other places in Dorchester that were just weak. South Boston was really weak.
And he's usually pretty strong there.
Well, he would have been, yeah. I mean, he's never had to get a vote there, but he would have been, yes, in past elections. So I don't know.
Scaling from Dorchester to citywide has got to be bigger, even than like.
And I think he said that. He said, the city's bigger than I anticipated.
Yeah.
And a lot of people find that out. A lot of people I've seen who try to move from, district councilor or jump into at-large their first time out. They just, on the map it looks pretty small. It isn't, though.
I have to say, it's not the friendliest city in the world. I've been here 11 years now. I think it took me about 10 to break through to people. So, and I didn't go knock on doors and say, "Please be my friend."
Well, there's a lot of ice, and you do have to break through it. But once you do, it's a very interesting city. There's a lot of strange stuff that happens.
Yeah.
And it's not like anywhere else. And Frank did say this also didn't make it in, but he said that one of the things he worries about, and frankly, a lot of Bostonians who've been here all their lives too, is that Boston was unique. It had an independent spirit. It was kind of like, screw everyone else, and we're over here. Can I say screw everyone else?
Okay. It's a podcast, man. You can say F everyone else if you want to.
Nah, I won't do that, but I don't want to bring the FCC down on you.
I hope I'm on their radar.
Yes. But, and that was kind of the way Boston was, and now the worry is that it's just going to be like everywhere else, and that's a tangible worry for a lot of people.
That's an episode. I'm going to bring you back on and talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot that has changed for good,
and probably for bad.
Well, we don't know yet. Bad is that's in the eye of the beholder.
Let's stick with politics for one last story about the national level, actually. So we got some feedback from, you tell me.
Oh, yes.
Because you wrote the story.
Right. So this is one of those things that if you go to these civic meetings and stuff, there's a lot of people who have, proposed that civic meetings and neighborhood associations are dead and silly, and we should all just get along on Twitter and talk about issues there. Don't agree.
Don't say Twitter. That's not.
Oh, right. It's not even
Twitter.
that anymore, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Social media platforms.
There we go.
But if you attend these meetings, they are very informative. I do for my job, but I actually enjoy them anyway. That's crazy, I guess, but
I like them. Yeah. No, they're great.
All right, but I enjoy them, and if I wasn't working here, I'd probably go to some still.
If I wasn't podcasting on Thursdays every week now, or every I do miss
but
them.
Yeah, I mean, you go to these and you learn all kinds of different stories, such as previously you talked about the Whitey Bulger picture story. That was one of those. But this one is about national politics, and we have some movement now in Boston, and it's all under the kind of under the table and very like people watching each other, like little moves. And
so Senator Markey is up for re-election.
He is up for re-election, and that's where this all fits in.
It feels like the Joe Kennedy race was just last year. That was 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
6.
No way.
Yeah. 2000.
Holy cow.
2001.
So he's up for re-election. Seth Moulton has from Salem area, right? Isn't he from?
Yes. He's from the North Shore. Yeah. He's a veteran. Really decent guy. I met him a few times when he first ran for Congress.
You just like that you have the same name.
Yeah, I know. We do share that. There are very few. There are more these days, but there are a few, and we got to stick together. Well,
yeah. Two people.
It's an odd name that very few people have.
So he has declared that he's going to run.
He is running. Yes. So
Ayanna has not.
That's the key here, and that's where in Boston this particular story has its play because. It's all Democrats here, right?
Yeah.
So you're only dealing with one party, and one primary decides all these things. So will Ayanna jump into the U.S. Senate race? Now, there's been a lot of polling, and I'm not the first one to talk about this. There's a lot of people talking about it. There's rumors that sometime around Thanksgiving this might happen. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't have any inside info on that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the polling suggests that it wouldn't be a bad idea for her.
Okay.
Right?
Was Andrea Campbell also considered?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
she's the attorney general, and I think she's happy there.
She's like it,
she's
okay.
running again.
Okay.
So if Ayanna were to get into that race, it opens up a lot of different races. You know, she's in Congress now. She would have to give up that seat.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to take that? That congressional seat goes from Everett to Randolph and winds its way through Boston.
Not Dorchester, though, right? Or at least
Yes.
not my... I lost her. I have Nick
Okay.
Collins now. Yeah.
So, you mean Lynch. Steve Lynch.
Steve Lynch, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so yes, by the waterfront is Lynch and into South Boston. But
Yep.
her district winds through the South Ends, Charlestown, goes into Everett, East Boston. It's a strange district.
And is it cut by Washington Street, Dorchester? Or what parts of Dorchester does she have?
That's a great question. You know, it changed.
I know it's
And
changed
in Lower
like
Mills,
4
there
times.
was like some streets that were in, some that weren't. But basically, on the east side, you're going to have Lynch. Ayanna's more on the western side of the
Okay.
neighborhood, and in Mattapan. And then down into Randolph, you know, it's a strange district, and there's a lot of people in that area who
Yeah.
who like to move up and have been blocked from moving up, and so it's kind of a domino effect. And so, who tries for that seat, and then their seat, who tries for that seat,
Right.
and then on down the line.
So is there anybody, I mean, obviously she hasn't declared, so there's
No.
nobody running for her seat, but is there talk of who
Oh,
would?
there is lots of talk,
Is
and there's
one of
lots of
them-
maneuvering, and that's what this story is all about. So this was at a meeting where Russell Holmes was kind of taking a shot at Markey and Senator Warren, which is not usual. I mean, in an all-Democratic state, everybody follows the same script. And
She's not even up for re-election, right, Warren?
until 2030, she'll be
Right.
81. So a lot of people there's a lot
Yeah.
of postulation. Is that a word?
Postulating.
Postulating.
Postulizing?
Postulizing. Let's just go with that. And that she would probably, she might leave before her term is up.
Okay.
2030 is a long time. 81, people do it, but that's old.
You get pretty cantankerous by 81.
Yeah, I mean, do you still want to do it at 81? I don't know. So maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But there's
I'm
some.
shocked she's 81. She looks great
She's
for
not 81. She would be 81.
Yeah, but yeah.
And that's in the future. 2030 is not that far off,
Right,
but
right.
it's not today. So she, there's rumors of that, but Markey, his seat is one that a lot of people are talking about, and Russell jumped off script, in my opinion, and he criticized him. He said, get in the room. What did he mean by that? He says, your positions are so liberal that you're always out of the room when they're making deals. So this was about the government shutdown. SNAP benefits had ended at that point. The airport was in disarray and looked like it could get worse. There were other things coming, like heating assistance, WIC, which is the baby formula and diapers and stuff like that. And all these things were coming, and you got to remember, Russell's district is very heavily reliant on that. There are other districts where they don't care because there aren't that many SNAP or
Right.
WIC or anything like that. But his is, and he's saying, you've chosen to draw a line in the sand and make a point, and you're not even in the room to make the deal, right? The deal's going on, and they're making all these decisions, and you're out there making an ideological point, and people are suffering. And he said they need to get back in the room and make some be able to make decisions on these things, because he said that they were being so their position on a national scale is so unreasonable that no one ever includes them.
So he's basically saying be more like Tim Kaine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's basically saying, let's think of the people first. Let's not.
Yeah, sure, but the people who were in the room for the deal
Right.
are
Right.
not necessarily the people Massachusetts wants representing them.
He would disagree. In his district, maybe they do. Maybe they, I mean, do you care about Obama health care benefits or putting food on your table tomorrow? His district cares about food on their table.
I would imagine they care about health subsidies too.
No, because theirs was not on the table. We're talking about Obamacare health subsidies. That's not Medicaid,
Okay.
right?
So,
different
yeah.
population.
Right.
So, basically what he's saying is that he's taking a shot at them, and that was that was noteworthy. So there are other, I thought, let's see what the rest of the delegation feels like. We have Dan Hunt, state rep from Dorchester, and he's fully behind Markey. He doesn't believe that Markey's positions are so out of line that he's out of the room.
Yeah.
And in fact, says Markey is everywhere. Some people in the neighborhood have criticized him for being too old and should, be an elder statesman, and that's coming from people in the neighborhood. That's not me. And he doesn't believe that. Dan doesn't believe that. He says he's been very active, very helpful. When asked about Elizabeth Warren, he didn't have comment. So take that for what it is. Others, like Chris Worrell, basically didn't think that anyone should be in the room making those decisions, that they should hold out, right? And he agreed with the two of them. His position is a little, it's a little fluid. I'm not exactly sure where he stands on that. But basically what he's saying is at the state level, they were put in a very tough position, right? So the federal government's arguing and all this money's not coming in, and now they have to make decisions about what they're going to do, to help people who are not getting food access and stuff like that. Nick Collins, is his position, was that Massachusetts has always been at odds with people going back to the Continental Congress.
So he pulled out the Continental Congress card.
He did, right in line with, what is it, Ken Burns has a documentary right now.
Yeah, he does.
So it's on trend.
And you asked Representative Fluker-Reed and Miranda, and they did not.
Yes, they did not comment anything back to me.
Okay.
So this is all with a backdrop. Like if you've observed politics around here, there's always something going on behind the scenes. And this is one of those things that's going on behind the scenes. There's a million people talking about who's going to run for what when Ayanna announces. And will she? We just don't even know.
What's your sense on that? Yes?
If you're looking at the polling, I mean, she's not even in the race, and she polls pretty well. And it's a 3-person race, right? So
who's the other one? Moulton, Markey, and who?
Her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's it? Nobody else has thrown their head in yet?
Not yet, no. And I don't think that they really would. So there might be somebody on the Republican side. I think that guy Deaton, he might have announced, but that's not until further on.
Right.
The election would, I guess he could have a shot, but Democrats would probably win this election, and whoever wins the primary would be the winner. Yeah. In my opinion.
So we should know by next episode if Leslie's in?
Maybe. She doesn't. If she's going to do it, she needs to get in soon.
Okay.
Because this is U.S. Senate. This is statewide.
Yeah.
So she's got to go to every corner of the state. We just talked about how hard it is to go throughout Boston.
Yeah.
Imagine going to Pittsfield in the morning.
Yeah.
And Chatham in the evening.
She does have slightly higher name recognition.
Yes, she does. She does. But you can't discount Markey. Markey's been around a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been elected already statewide.
I meant then Frank Baker.
Frank. Frank isn't in this race.
Right. So I like Ed Markey. I do worry about age because I think we are seeing nationally that age is a factor. Obviously, since the Joe Biden fiasco. How old will he be next year?
I think if Ed serves out his next term, he would be 80.
Okay.
If he's reelected and serves it out another 6 years.
But that wasn't a factor with the Joe Kennedy challenge at all. No
one brought that up.
Yeah.
But he actually reinvented himself. He was definitely, when Joe Kennedy came in, Ed was definitely on the ropes maybe. I remember observing that election, but he reinvented himself because he was always into the environment.
Yeah.
And he was like the only person out in left field shouting about it. But now that's more of a central issue in America. Yeah. And so he reinvented himself. AOC and him became friends. And
submitted the Green New Deal together.
Yeah, and then he got on a bus, and he did a bus tour. He did.
Did he?
Yes. And he would get out of the bus in his tennis shoes. He wears tennis shoes all the time. That's his thing. And he would be full of energy and clapping, and so no one brought up age.
Yeah, right.
He looked like he could go play basketball.
All right. We have one more quick thing to touch on just for to leave on a high note. We had 192 new American citizens sworn in, taking the oath of citizenship at the JFK Library earlier today. And guess who was there? our soon-to-be next segment guest, Tom O'Brien.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was there. I did not attend this. This was my my coworker Cassidy McNeely, and Tom was there. I think it might have been a surprise. He did speak.
Okay.
Maybe it was a surprise to me. I don't know if it was to her. These ceremonies are always great. They've had them at Fenway Park. They have them in smaller locations.
Faneuil Hall, right?
Faneuil Hall, they do that.
Yep.
It's a real joyous day, and there's a lot of people who, this is, if we're born here, yeah, we're a citizen. Yeah, so what, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think about it. If you've come from Afghanistan, you escaped the Taliban,
right.
You barely made it through, you somehow got a green card, you went through a refugee camp in Wisconsin. That's where they were. Oh. And then, you've struggled to figure out what in the world America is and how do you get your kids to school. And am I going to be able to stay here? Are they going to send me back to the Taliban? I'm using Afghanistan as an example.
Yeah.
Because I think there were some Afghans there today.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally you get to raise your hand and you're an American.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're an American and your kids are Americans and forever you will be.
Yeah.
And that's something because, you got to remember a lot of the places we were using Afghanistan as a example. They're rough,
right.
They're rough.
It's interesting to me that you made Wisconsin sound like the worst part of that journey.
It's awful. Who would go there?
It's so cold.
I mean, I hear that they fence, but who cares?
Yeah, yeah, I thought this article was really nice. It was, obviously, there were lots of tears. I think it cuts differently right now when becoming a citizen is actually a protection.
It is.
And a protection
Very
for your
much
family.
so.
Yeah.
Right. Like life and death.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yep.
Yeah.
So really, really happy that is still happening.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
It happens more than you think. These ceremonies happen a lot, even at JFK, and it's a special time. Even if you have no skin in the game on one of them, they're good to go observe.
Yeah.
And just see. Kind of brings it home, for a citizen, maybe if you were born here, to see, what it is you have how special it is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Thanksgiving.
Segue.
Seth,
this has been lovely.
Thank you.
It's always a good time.
Always good to be here.
I hope your respiratory
situation
I've
got about 2 more weeks to record a Barry White album.
Okay. We'll have you on Tiny Dot next time.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Seth. Go Bills.
No, go Pats.